Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Midtown Atlanta. Such is the nature of life that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, and so am I, and so it is. We know who you are. You are an individualized expression of the divine life in which we all live. We are life's opportunity to be someone unique and wonderful in this world. And you are welcome. We're glad you're here. And something really important that we would like is if you're liking this and getting spiritually fed, share this with your friends on social media. We've got lots of outlets. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Those are the two platforms that the recordings are broadcast on. So take a look at that, share that with your friends. We'd really appreciate it. And so for a little bit more about who we are, take a listen to our Declaration of Principles as written by our founder, Ernest Holmes.
A few of the Declaration of Principles we live by.
I believe in one God, one absolute power, and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life, and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding.
I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
So grateful, hey.
So a practitioner is someone who's demonstrated the ability to use spiritual principles in their own lives to bring about great changes in whatever they're working on in themselves. They've also demonstrated they know how to bring about changes in others' lives when asked. They're licensed by the Centers for Spiritual Living and are available to help you in whatever way you need help, spiritual guidance, and those areas where you're looking for assistance. You can contact them through our website, cslmidtown.org. There's a list of practitioners there, and you can reach out to them. Today, we've got one of our amazing practitioners. She's a co-team lead of our practitioner team, and she's here to share some good ideas with all of us. Welcome this morning, Maya Fuller.
Thank you, Vance. Greetings, CSL Midtown, and happy second week of June. I want to take a few moments to share with you what the CSL Global theme for this month is. Our speakers here at CSL Midtown are always free to follow their own spiritual leading when they choose their topic, so you may or may not hear the monthly theme addressed from this platform throughout the month. Last week's speaker, for example, spoke on something entirely different, and that is perfectly beautiful. But today's speaker will be speaking to the theme, and I want you to have the full picture of how Centers for Spiritual Living has laid it out. Maybe it sparks something in you, maybe it gives you something to chew on, and you might even want to explore it further on your own if you feel called to. This month's theme is Higher, Deeper Love. The heart of it is we are invited to redefine love, re-examine our relationship with it, and open ourselves to the possibility that love is far grander than we have allowed ourselves to believe. The theme unfolds across 4 weeks, each one exploring love through different lenses, beginning with how love lives inside of us as individuals, then moving outward into our relationships, then into our shared history and community, and finally into the larger systems and structures of the world we inhabit together. The first week, entitled, I Want to Know What Love Is, turns that lens inward, personally. It's an invitation to see love beyond romance, to sit with it, with its discomfort and its joy, and to recognize every experience and ourselves as love itself. This week, I Was Made for Loving You, which is the theme our speaker is bringing today, shifts that lens outward into our relationships and how we show up with one another. The third week, What's Love Got to Do with It, widens the lens further into collective territory. It invites us to bring awareness to our profound interconnectedness and to the ancestral and historical wounds around love that are still present and still asking to be healed. And the fourth week, Love Lifts Us Up Where We Belong, opens the widest view of all, asking us to look at the world's systems through the eyes of love and to hold love's beautiful paradox that it can be present in both our brokenness and our healing at the same time. Taken together, this month is a journey from the inside out and from the personal to the collective, all in service of remembering who and what we truly are. The monthly book recommendation, if you'd like a companion for that journey, is titled All About Love, New Visions, and it is written by Bell Hooks. It's available wherever books are sold. And now I'd like to invite you into our spiritual mind treatment. I'll be offering this treatment in the first person, speaking it as my own truth, because as I speak these words for myself, I'm speaking them for every heart that's listening. You're welcome to receive whatever resonates with you as your own. So wherever you are right now, however you came in today, whatever's on your mind, whatever you're carrying, let this just be a moment that brings this space and this moment entirely for you. So go ahead and find a comfortable position. Let your hands rest easy. And when you're ready, I invite you to take a slow, deep breath in. And let it go. And take another one. Really let it fill you up. And release. If it feels comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. And if not, just soften your gaze. Let your focus go a little loose. Either way, just begin to turn your attention inward. Away from your to-do list, away from whatever is waiting for you after this. Just be here right now. As we know together that there is only one life, one love, one intelligence, one presence moving through everything, through the radio waves of this broadcast, through each of us, through every connection I have ever had or ever will have. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it love itself. It is the one thing that has never not been here. And I am made of that. Not just touched by it, not just reaching for it, made of it. I am an expression of love itself, whole, complete, and already enough. The same love that holds this universe in place is the love that moves through me into every relationship I have, every interaction, every moment of genuine connection. Love is there. It is a love that knows me completely and has never once turned away from me. Love is not something I have to earn or find or finally deserve one day. It is who I am. It is what I have always been. And as I move through my relationships, the easy ones, the tender ones, the ones that have asked everything of me, I am not searching for love. I'm bringing it. I am it, showing up as life itself. And any belief that I am not enough to be loved is gone. Any story that says I have to perform or shrink or prove myself in order to be loved is released. That is not the truth. The truth is love, divine love in me, through me, all around me, as me, for me. I know this right now. I feel this right now. And I can turn inward to return to this space anytime I need to remember. And I am grateful. And I release this treatment into the law, knowing that it is already so, it is already done, already real for me and for every person here today. And so it is.
It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning. Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer is currently serving as the board president of the Affiliated New Thought Network, or ANTN, as a membership organization that of Unity, New Thought, CSL, and Divine Science centers, churches, and individuals. Jerry also is a founding board member and currently director of relationship development for Urban Street Angels, a San Diego County organization that works with and to help end youth homelessness, providing bridge housing, employment, and life skills training to homeless transition age youth 18 to 24. He's also the author of the acclaimed book, Coming Out to Ourselves, Admitting, Accepting, and Embracing Who We Truly Are. Welcome back, Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer.
Good morning, dear ones. Thank you, Vance, so much. Thank you, Judy and Maya, for the opportunity. It is great to be with you again. Happy Sunday. Or good afternoon or good evening if you're watching a recording later and or in another time zone. So my topic for today is I was made for loving you, and I would include loving life, loving today, and loving just every experience in our day-to-day world. Or subtitle, In Search of a Good Night's Sleep. Now, keeping in mind that whenever I am speaking with you, I am also speaking with myself. So thanks so much for being with me as I talk to myself this morning. In Maya's opening, she talked about this book that CSL suggested for us for the month of June, All About Love, New Visions by Bell Hooks. And I have a quote from the book that I'd like to share with you. Spiritual life is first and foremost about commitment to a way of thinking and behaving that honors principles of interbeing and interconnectedness. When we choose to lead a spirit-filled life, we recognize and celebrate the presence of transcendent spirits. Some people call this presence, soul, God, the beloved, higher consciousness, or higher power. Still others say that this force is what it is because it cannot be named. To them, it is simply spirit moving in us and through us. And I would suggest through everyone else as well. A commitment to a spiritual life necessarily means we embrace the eternal principle that love is all, everything, our true destiny. Despite overwhelming pressure to conform to the culture of lovelessness, we still seek to know love. That seeking is itself a manifestation of divine spirit. So again, a commitment to a spiritual life necessarily means we embrace the eternal principle that love is all. Isn't that nice? So in my day-to-day life, in my interactions with other people, and all the stuff using a purely spiritual term, all there is love. Isn't that great? and that's the truth. But as we also know, there is the truth and there is the fact. And while the truth is everything we see as love, the truth is that Course in Miracles reminds us that everyone and everything leans toward us to bless us. The fact is, we may be saying, Spirit bless you, with our teeth clenched. And because of that, we may be experiencing less than a wonderful night's sleep. And I don't know about you, but to me, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, do anything you want to me during the day as long as I can get a good night's sleep. So what keeps us out of peace? Course in Miracles said I could see peace instead of this. So what keeps me out of peace? What keeps me from having that good night's sleep? So my question, again, how did you sleep last night? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, how did you sleep last night? Don't have to answer, it's okay, but just something to be aware of. What keeps us out of a good night's sleep and the experience of peace and the experience of love in all these areas of our lives? Might be something that we did or that someone else did yesterday, last week, last month, 40 years ago. Might be a worry about some area of our lives that isn't going that as well as we would have chosen. Just a variety of things. But as we know, life is lived from the inside out. So if life is lived from the inside out, and it is, then what can I change about my belief about whatever this is, whoever this is, in order to experience that peace and that good night's sleep? Many of us go or buy or get or create something to make us feel better. It's a trip to, well, y'all are on the East Coast, so maybe y'all go to the Caribbean. On the West Coast, we tend to go to Hawaii. But wherever you go to a tropical island and it's wonderful, and maybe you have an adult beverage or you have a snack that's brought to you by somebody that's really cute, and the weather is glorious and there's a swimming pool and it's really wonderful. But probably, and unless you've won the Georgia State Lottery, you're probably going to have to get on a plane and go home at some point. Or we invest in treatments to make us look better and then we'll feel better. Or we buy a new whatever it is. And all of these things are wonderful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But the point is, wherever we go, there we are. A wise person, not me, once said that. And so we're bringing whatever that's keeping us out of peace with us to that change. But unless and until we change what's inside, we will still not experience that peace. So in the last few years, I've really become more conscious of what I believe about this experience called life, and all the wonderful people and all the wonderful experiences. And when I'm not at peace, allowing myself to question, what do I believe about this, and what can I change to experience that peace? Starting with my story. All of us carry stories about what happened, about what didn't happen, about people, about circumstances, about just a myriad of things that happened yesterday, that happened last week, or that happened when we were children. And we carry those with us. And so often, because we have that in our memory, and very often a less than positive memory, we carry that with us and then remember that when we have a new experience that seems similar. And so often our story includes some assumptions. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, a wonderful book, and he writes about making assumptions. And you might remember how we separate the word assume, that well, text me later, or put it in the text me later, or call me later, or email me, and I'll remind you of what assume does, but you can probably figure that out. But listen to these words from the fourth agreement, and this is the third agreement of the four. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe the truth. We can swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally, and then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison into our world. So often, our assumptions are affected by our story. So something happens, and we view it, we see it, we feel it. Chances are it didn't turn out the way we had in mind, and so we write a story full of assumptions. So consider, I met this really cute person wherever, in school back in the day, or at a bar or restaurant last night, or in church, or wherever. But I met this really cute person. And of course, back in the day, we'd write down, remember that, some of us remember this, you'd get a piece of paper and you'd write down a phone number and you'd hand it to them. I'll call you. Or in 2026, we share our contact information on our smartphones. I'll call you, we'll get together, we'll go to dinner, we'll have lunch, whatever. Awesome. I'm so excited because I met this really cute person. But it's the next day and they didn't call. And then it's 3 days from now and they didn't call. And now it's a week later and they didn't call. What does this mean? If you're like I am, and I'm much better about this, but back in the day, I'm creating my story and my assumptions are right about this. Well, of course they didn't call because I'm too old, too young, too fat, too thin, too stupid, too unlovable that anyone would ever love me. So I will never find love and I will spend the rest of my life being alone. And because we make those assumptions and create this story, later on, we might be settling for what's not the best for us in new relationships, in new jobs, in new circumstances in our lives, settling for our okay, good, when life has amazing good for us, but we don't believe we deserve it because they, and you get to fill in the blank. When in reality, the reason that they didn't call was because they lost our number, or because they got busy and forgot, or the reason that they didn't call is because they didn't call. It's always because we never know why people do what they do. We never know about their circumstances. It's up to us to decide what the story was, ideally releasing the judgment and recognize that if that didn't work out, there's something better for me. So there is my story, and then there are my rules. I have rules. And if people in my life would just do what King Jerry wants them to do, my life would certainly be so much better, and so would theirs. And I bet that's been your experience as well. I have a rule about being on time. And if you're with us live this morning and didn't arrive at 11 a.m. Eastern time, please know that I'm not talking to you. This is just a general situation, but go with me on this. So I have a thing about being on time, and in honor of Father's Day, which is next Sunday, this was my father's rule, and he always taught me when you're going to meet somebody, whether it's a business situation or whatever, get there 15, 20 minutes early. You can park in the back of the back parking lot. You can listen to the radio back in the day or your Sirius XM or whatever you're listening to today. But listen to the radio, hang out, because if you're late, that means you are immature. You don't value the other person's time. You are irresponsible and all of those other things that I so never wanted to be. So Granted, I've spent a good amount of time in the airport waiting for a plane, but I need to be there an hour plus early just in case. Again, there is no judgment if this is not your experience, but please know this is just mine. It's one of my rules. Many of you know my story that my first husband made his transition 8 years ago, and he was on time-ish. So flight is at 8 o'clock, need to be there at 7 o'clock. We're there at 7 a.m.-ish. Never missed a flight, but come on, we got to go in a minute, dear. So he was there, but it was ish. What I absolutely know is that the universe has a sense of humor because my new love has no such rules. And so one of the first times we got together, he was going to come to my house and he'll be there at 8 o'clock. And it's 8 o'clock and he's not there. And it's 8:15 and he's not there. So we passed the ish and he's just late. And then it's 8:30 and then it's 8:45 and he finally showed up. And my ego, remember Wayne Dyer says that ego stands for edging God out. My ego says, well, he doesn't love you. He doesn't respect you. He is irresponsible and all of those other things that, again, going back to the assumptions because of we're judging by appearances. And the truth is he runs half an hour to 45 minutes late because he does. So what's my story? That's how he is. And I can see peace instead of this. Now, if it's a problem, if it's an issue, if I can't get past this, there's the opportunity to have the conversation or just allow. As we express and experience love for ourselves and others, we get to decide. We get to pick our battles, as it were, and decide, is this really worth fighting about? Or can I adjust accordingly and release the judgment, release the assumptions, and just allow? We might have a rule about, for those of us who did traditional marriage back in the day, we might have said until death do us part. So what happened if nobody died and the relationship changed and we're not together anymore? Do we still carry the guilt and the shame and the I should have and I could have and all the rest of that and I shouldn't have? Or do we recognize that the relationship changed and that was okay and we were able to move on? They should or they shouldn't are all in my rules. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But something to be aware of, because so often these rules and these judgments and these assumptions and all the rest of that, at the end of the day, when it's quiet and we're in the bed and we're just trying to go to sleep, then we do the replay of all of that happened today, which reminded me of what happened 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And it just comes up and comes up. But quoting Course in Miracles, I could see peace instead of this. Because the dear ones in our lives all come with their rules and their ideas and their assumptions and all the rest of that in this amazing melting pot that we call life. And I love this quote from Thomas Merton. The beginning of love is to let those we love be perfectly themselves and not to twist them to fit our image. Otherwise, we love only the reflection of ourselves that we see in them. So how cool is it that I've attracted someone that's different from me in so many ways, and I get to recognize and honor those differences rather than you need to look like me, walk like me, talk like me, act like me. Interesting. So there's our story, there's our rules, and there's our shadow. Thankfully, this was way before my time, but you might remember, or you might remember hearing it. In 1927, there was a popular song written by Irving Berlin, Al Jolson, Billy Rose, and Dave Dreyer, and the title was Me and My Shadow, Strolling Down the Avenue. You might have heard it. I love you, and I will not sing it because that's not one of my gifts, but you might remember that song. But the point is, our shadow. You might have heard about the concept or read about it. Carl Jung, Debbie Ford, many other authors have taught and have talked about our shadow. And the shadow is that part of us that we don't like to look at. Because remember the writing, the Sufi mystic poet Rumi writes about the guest house, that this human being is a guest house, and we're charming and sparkling and patient and understanding and compassionate and offering unconditional love and all of those things. Isn't that nice? And hateful and surly and cranky and judgmental and impatient and everything else you can think of. I am that. I am both lists. And guess what? So are you. Because that's who we are in this lusciousness that we call humanness. We're all those things. But in our domestication, and remember Don Miguel Ruiz talks about domestication in the Four Agreements, we should not be those from the second list. So we hide that. We stuff that. We keep that in our back pocket or in the drawer in the desk. And then when somebody acts that way that we don't allow ourselves to, we get very upset because that's our shadow coming out to play to remind us that I am that. I have a quote for you from, and this is from The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford. The saintly and the cynical, the divine and the diabolical, the courageous and the cowardly. All these aspects lie dormant in us and will act out if they're not recognized and integrated into our psyches. Many of us are frightened of the light as well as the dark. Many of us are frightened to look within ourselves, and fear has put up a wall so thick we no longer remember who we really are. Embracing an aspect of yourself means loving it, allowing it to coexist with all your other aspects, not making it more or less any other part of yourself. It's not enough to say, I know I am controlling. We must see what controlling has to teach us, what gift it brings us, and then we must be able to view it with awe and compassion. What am I most afraid of that someone will find out about me? Because I am kind and compassionate and understanding. And in a split second, I could be hateful and judgmental and impatient. I keep it under wraps, and probably most of us do, but it's there. And then when someone else has no such restrictions related to their wraps, as it were, we get really upset because that's our shadow that wants to come out and play. For example, bragging. So have somebody in my life that talks about themselves and talks about themselves and talks about themselves. You're not supposed to do that. Remember, that's an old rule that, and especially as children, we were taught to be quiet and not talk about ourselves. That's bragging, that's ego, all the rest of that. Is it? Or is it really self-confidence? And oh, by the way, if you're applying for a new job, you need to do a resume and you need to be able to brag about yourself. If you're in an interview, you need to talk about what you've done, what your successes are, what's next for you, so that it can absolutely be a positive attribute of our personality. coming on too strong, we might look at in judgment. But the truth is, that's leadership ability. We need to do this, and so this is how we move forward. So it's all in allowing and embracing all these different parts of us, and recognizing again that we love someone else who comes off this way because I am that. I am that. Debbie Ford wrote in the book, there is nothing we can see or perceive that we are not. We tend to judge people when they display a quality we cannot accept in ourselves. We have qualities in others that we hate in ourselves. But what if we could embrace them and love them and say, I am that. What keeps me out of peace is my shadow and not being willing to embrace it. What keeps me out of peace is me and your shadow. I've been thinking a lot about this the last little while and what's going on out there, recognizing that there's no out there, but in our world and in our country. And the great thing in 2026, and I put great in quotation marks, because of social media, we get to know what everybody's saying, what everybody's thinking, what everybody's doing, what everybody wants to do, and all the rest of that. And I don't know about you, but my shadow is just doing somersaults and cartwheels because they shouldn't be saying that. They shouldn't even be thinking that, but they certainly shouldn't be saying that and saying that in the national media and saying that to the world and allowing people to see all this nonsense. But I am that. I am egotistical. I could be racist. I could be narcissistic. I could be all of those things. So the homework for us, again, because we get in 2026, we get to hear and see everything that everybody's thinking about. So the opportunity is to start out by questioning, and I talked about this before, why am I so upset about this? So what's going on here that I'm not allowing myself to see that it's just background noise and to see that this is really bugging me. What's going on here? Debbie Ford refers to this as shadow projection. So those attributes about ourselves that there's no way in the world that we would do that. We see that in other people, and that gets us so upset. I can't believe they're doing that. I can't believe they're talking like that. And in the book, she writes, people mirror back what is within us because subconsciously we're calling it forth from them. And that's an interesting concept. That's why certain kinds of people and situations keep showing up in our lives over and over again. But the miracle occurs when you truly own and embrace an aspect of yourself. At that point, the person who is serving as your mirror will either stop acting out the behavior, or you'll be able to choose not to have this person in your life. So what do we focus on? What do we pay attention to? What's keeping us from having this inner peace and a good night's sleep? Because again, I could be greedy, a liar, a narcissist, racist, immature, childish, all of these things. I am that. And so are all of us. So experiencing this love in our lives, there is the opportunity to see, why am I not at peace? What story could I change? What assumption could I release? What shadow, what part of my shadow could I embrace to recognize I am that? I consciously choose not to be that, but I am that. So, some thoughts for moving forward and in search of a good night's sleep. Offer ourselves grace as we begin to be willing to look at what's going on here. To be more aware of our assumptions and our stories. And when we have that memory of what happened last week or whatever, or something doesn't happen as we would have preferred, what's my story about it? What's my assumptions about it? Is it really true? Or could I change it into a thought? Abraham talks about looking for a thought that feels better. So is there a way to change that story? Be more consciously aware of when our shadow shows up. And allow ourselves to just observe. That's interesting. Why am I getting so upset about that? Be willing, keeping in mind that willing is not an action word, but to be willing to ask, seek, and knock. Remember, Jesus talked about that in the Sermon on the Mount. Ask, seek, and knock. Why is this bothering me? Ask Spirit, why is this bothering me? And how can I change this into a story that feels better? Because if everyone and everything leans toward me to bless me, as Course in Miracles says, where is the blessing? How can I find it? How can I take this into my heart and express and experience love, recognizing that there is always the blessing? So wonderful to be with you. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thanks, Dr. Jerry, for that amazing talk. So now it's time for our New Minister Sacred Covenant Easy Prayer. This is the abbreviated version. You can get the full version online at cslmidtown.org. So read this with me. There's only one life. This life is God, and I am one with it. I know that my new minister is a revelation of Spirit as principle, fulfilling God's promise, for principle is not bound by precedent, but operates according to law for those who align with it. Together with my community, I see my new minister as inspiring spiritual oneness through wisdom, love, and authenticity. One that is awakened to inner wisdom, communicates universal truth, and serves as a conduit of divine love, wisdom, and healing energy. One that recognizes the inherent wholeness within all beings and offers teachings grounded in spiritual principles to cultivate inner transformation. One that extends love, compassion, and Spirit's transformative power into the wider community, fostering connections that heal and uplift individuals on their unique journeys. As I accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they will be revealed in a way that expresses Spirit and serves the highest good of all touched by their presence. I am grateful, for God is good, and so it is. And now it's time for our conscious giving. If you're spiritually fed by the talks and everything you get here, we would appreciate you donating. I know lots of you already do, but if you're not already, please consider doing that. We're here, we're providing an awesome service, and hopefully you're getting spiritually fed. So if you would, with me, read our affirmation of prosperity, you can donate at cslmidtown.org/donate or scan the QR code on the screen. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. And so we got a couple of announcements. I'd like to thank Maya for being our practitioner today, and next Sunday, the 21st, we've got What's Love Got to Do with It by Miss Narissa Street. And if you like what we've got and you want to dive a little bit deeper, there's an adult study group that meets at 10 a.m. on Sundays on our Zoom channel. You can get there by going to cslmidtown.org and scroll down to the bottom. There's a link for the Zoom. Put in the code. Join them at 10 a.m. They're going through the Science of Mind textbook. They're nearing the end of that. You don't have to have read that before, but they would appreciate anybody coming to join and participate with that. It's a very lively group. And now, let's say our affirmation of life. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. If you want to have a discussion and you're online, you're not already on Zoom, you can join us on Zoom. Go to cslmidtown.org, scroll down to Zoom, click on the link, and it will take you there. We're going to have a short discussion with Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer. And if not, have a great week, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody.